All right, welcome everybody. Today I have the infamous, famous, big fan of Matt Landman, the creator of Frankenskies and many other things, including this wonderful hat I'm wearing. We'll talk about in a minute. Matt, how you doing? What's going on?
Hey Dave, thanks so much for having me on. We've been back and forth for a few
Years.
years, yeah, years now, and I'm glad we're finally doing it.
You know what got me? I was looking on Facebook and I saw this horrific chemtrail sunset, and the saying said, "What a beautiful sunset!" And I started pounding away at a response, and then I look and I go, "Oh, it's Matt. He's just being sarcastic."
Yeah, I was just taking the piss, as they say in the UK. Sometimes I catch people off guard. I'll put a sunset up, and I'm like utterly breathtaking, and people are like, "What the f?" And like, "Oh, it's Matt."
Oh,
Yeah, literally breathtaking with the barium
got it. So
aluminum.
listen, we're gonna put this on YouTube. So let's just we'll never criticize the climate or anything else because global warming, very very important topic. So
Mhm.
we will speak metaphorically if we need to, which we will need to because we live in the don't speak the truth state. I just got a strike on my channel today for a video that was over 5 years old, and the person in the video just hinted to the idea that marijuana might be able to cure the C word. And boom, I got a strike 5 years later.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that I know how to wiggle my way around and use different words and metaphors and stuff like that. Welcome to the new world.
Yeah, awesome. Um, so I wanted to start off with I just added a new store to the app. If you everyone goes on my app to the store, and right there in the first position we have, is it pronounced Spiro? Spiro, right?
Yeah,
Spiro Clothing.
nice.
And Matt is the true tinfoil hat. This is the tinfoil hat. This is lined with is it silver? What is it
Mhm.
lined with? That
Yep.
lining, it's super comfortable, amazing hat. And I know it's doing something for me, but just having it on makes me feel cozy and comfy and safe.
Excellent. I'm glad that you are having that on your shop. The hat that you have on is one of the newer versions. I had to get these made like bulk. They wanted me to get like 10,000 at a time. It's from the same factory that makes Playboy beanies. So the Playboy beanies got in touch with my EMF people, and I sent them the silver. And if you wrap it right and you put your phone in there, you won't have any service. But also, I have these blackout bags where you put your phone in, you don't get any signal, and therein lies the proof is the pudding. But if you get yourself an EMF reader, you can test the products. All the stuff that I have is lined with silver. It's an amazing new industry. I did this like list on my wall the other day of like 15 companies on earth that existed that were doing this, and I researched all of them. They're all over the world. There's like a company in Switzerland, Germany, and whatever. They're all nothing compared to me. I'm leading the industry. I'm leading this niche. I've got the best quality, best prices, best like style. Like some people look like they just came out of a um, what was that cable guy where they duke each other at Renaissance Festival or whatever. But yeah, it's been amazing. 5 years in, I can't believe I've had this business for 5 years, and it should be inspiring to people that have turned activism into not just passing out flyers. You know what I mean? That's how it started for me. I was passing out flyers to people, trying to tell them to look up at the skies. And
Yeah.
then they weren't, they wouldn't look up. So I had a conference. I had the first annual Global Chemtrail Summit. Then I had another one. Then I had another one. Then Bill Gates was trying to dim the sun in Tucson, Arizona. So I had a conference, big showdown down there. I got arrested at that conference. We had a big protest the next day to save Mother Earth on Mother's Day. And we made ripples in Tucson and put that experiment on a hiatus. He never did the sun dimming experiment down there. And then slowly but surely, I learned about 5G, started to become 5G activist, made this clothing line because evidently tinfoil doesn't work, but silver actually does. So the tinfoil hat, um, it's kind of a
Essentially,
joke, but
it's
this is
a,
this is the real deal tinfoil hat. I like to tell
real
people my
tinfoil hat.
tinfoil hats are made out of silver, and then they're like, "What?" And if I show them in the sunlight, it's like glistening. The silver is like shining, like actual silver, and I'm like, "Yeah, actual silver, buddy."
Yeah, they're great. I'm excited, and I know that a lot of people are going to want these. And the hats are great. You got the pants. You got. I'm going to end up getting everything eventually, but it's cool stuff. And my town in 2020 had three of the five, what letter towers, and now we have over 100. Okay, just
Hmm.
in no time, and that all happened in 2020. So
Hmm.
everything you can do. We can't do everything. We do the best that we can, and I think this is a great thing to have. Is that one of your sweatshirts you're wearing right now? Is that
No, I don't wear much of my stuff because I don't do any wireless radiation. If I go out, if I go out in this coffee shops and stuff like that, I like to wear my beanies and my men's underwear and whatnot. I don't have a smartphone. This show is being done with this here wired internet. Oh, I'm glad I looked at that. It looks like my computer's unplugged. So that I do need. We do need electricity in order to manage. But
and
yeah, I'm really excited about it. Go ahead.
and our community here, we're all flat earthers, and we like to support other businesses that are flat earthers. So Matt, for those of you that don't know, knows that the world is not a spinning ball flying through a infinite universe. He posts now and then about it, and he's kept a little quiet, but maybe he's speaking out a little bit more now. Now that all the work is done, everyone's starting to come out. We have I'm going on Kate Shamarani, the nurse in the UK. I'm going on her show twice this week, two different shows. Peggy Hall is constantly talking about flat Earth. Stu Peters, he's tweeting every week about flat Earth. Um, a lot of the big shows are coming out and talking about it, and we're going to watch all of these other podcasts try to catch up. They're like, oh, now it's cool. Now hey, we're going to do it. Let's have Flat Earth Dave on. Let's have Jeranism on. Let's talk about it. And we welcome all of you. Don't worry, but try to get out. If you're listening to this show, try to get out ahead of the other people. Just you want to be able to say, yeah, I was talking about it before it was cool. Before it was cool.
Ain't that the truth? And I've been slipping in, and I've been slipping it in there more now than before. Definitely, people like to see me doing it because a lot of people are surprised because they think I'm just a chemtrail,
Yeah.
EMF kind of guy or whatever. But I'm not. I had I don't know if I call my mentor, but I had a best friend for a while. I had an older friend. Okay, when I was in my 30s, I had a friend that was like twice my age. So call him my mentor, an older friend. He's a cool dude, Vancouver, Canada. He used to always say, you can't be half pregnant with the truth. Either you're riding that frequency of truth and all the truths are there with you, or you're not even pregnant. You're not even a truther. You can't cherry pick truths and be like, well, I'm going to be a chemtrail activist, but I believe in NASA. No, you can't. It's just not even something that you can do. You're either there or you're not, and you're either with it or you're not. So it's difficult. I've got a big followership on Facebook, and when I do drop it, a lot of people get on board and support me. It's beautiful. And then I lose friends. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's what happened when I got into chemtrails. It was an uphill battle when I got into chemtrails. What happened was I lost all my friends, every last effing one of them, and my family members. They're like, you're crazy. And I'm like, well, I'm going to make a movie about this, and then maybe you'll watch it. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But what happened was, is I lost everyone, and then I got everybody that I needed back, and then some. Like I had no followers, and now I've got 80,000 on Facebook, and this movie's been seen by about 100 million people around the world, and it's very eye opening. It's not like this documentary where it's a voiceover of me trying to convince people. There's no voiceover. It starts off in 1920s, and by the time you get 15 minutes in, you're at the 1960s, and self-evident that the U.S. military-industrial complex has been sharpening these tools to manage everything, the
Where is the
weather.
Where's the best place for people to find Frankenskies? Where do you want them to watch it?
Frankenskies.com is a great place. Frankenskiesthemovie.com also, but Frankenskies.com is my baby. And then it's on, the platforms. It got pulled from the major one, of course, because I don't even want to, they said that I was spreading medical misinformation, but what do you say? What do you do? 2020 was a rough year for a lot of
But if they
platforms.
just search Frankenskies.com, there it is. You can probably find it on BitChute, Rumble, everywhere else, right? So
Yeah, definitely. It's everywhere.
watch it. You're not. Are you selling it anywhere or just watch it?
Yeah, I got the DVD available for $3, and I'd love to have it on your shop as well. And you can find that at actualactivists.com. Also, at Sparrow, the EMF protection clothing line, there's a spot where I have the DVD.
It,
Actualactivists.com is like my baby one-stop resource for all the information and truth and stuff.
and you're charging $3 for it. Any chance you can make it $2? Isn't three a lot? No, I'm kidding. Don't do it. I'm joking. I'm just being a troll.
I mean,
I've never heard of a DVD for $3. What's wrong with it? Is it broken?
I mean, $2 wasn't. It was just going to be basically.
How do you
like I pay people to put them together, right? You got to buy the DVD, put them together, and now it's got subtitles, and you can get it in Spanish, and it's got presentations on it and stuff like that. I know, right? 2 or 3. I know you're joking, but at first I was like, because people gave me so much shit. At first it was $333, and people were like, "Oh, are you a Freemason?" And I was like,
"Oh my
what?
God,
I just like the number." And so then I changed it. People gave me a lot of flack. Basically, every time I take a crap, people jump down my throat, and it's either I flushed the toilet the wrong way, or I said the Earth was this or not or that. If you're just getting into debating with your friends, family, and peers about the shape of the Earth and whatnot, I recommend taking it easy, meeting people where they're at. All right. And meeting people where they're at is they're most likely brainwashed. And so you got to start very slow and gentle with very simple introductory things. Like there must be some sort of container to keep this gas pressure from
gravity.
To make gas pressure exist.
Gravity.
Yeah, people love to say gravity. I know. I love the gravity thing. So, okay, here's the deal with gravity. Once you get further and further away from it, doesn't it dissipate? Why wouldn't it not dissipate? What's the deal?
Because there's a pressure gradient, and it just gets less and less and less until there's nothing. Okay, it's the dumbest argument ever, and you can totally blow it away. Check that. The one thing they say, what about the stars rotating in the north clockwise, and in the south and counterclockwise in the north? And my answer to that is, why are you looking up at the lights in the sky that you don't even know what they are? We can prove they're not what they say they are to prove the shape of the floor. But I just saw this, and a lot of people hate TikTok, but TikTok has lots of little bits of information, and I saw this little video, so I'm going to show it for the first time. Let's see if it works. So whenever NASA shows us one of their fake pictures of Earth, they show us, the United States right here. And ignore Canada. It's not missing. It's just green, right? Because my green screen. Okay. And the Earth is spinning. It's spin this way. Yeah, it spins this. It would be spinning this way. Okay. They don't have any images of it spinning. So this is spinning. So this is the North Pole up here. So if I'm spinning, which way is that going? Is that clockwise or counterclockwise? To you, is it?
It's counterclockwise.
It's counterclockwise. Okay, so I'm going to keep turning the ball in that same direction. I'm not changing direction. And now, which way is the South Pole spinning? I didn't change direction. It's going in the other direction. It's now going clockwise.
Right.
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 So there's a good answer right there. I didn't change directions, right? Let me just show it again, because this actually bends my mind a little bit. So I'm spinning in this direction, and I'm just keep spinning. So now we see it spinning from this side to that side, and I'm spinning in the same direction, and I just turn it over, and now it's going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You find that interesting?
Yes, I do find it interesting, but this is debating how the stars are different on the different
No, debating why the stars rotate in a different direction in the south than they do in the north. You look up at the north and you see them rotating counterclockwise. I just say you turn around. If I'm watching the stars go from my right shoulder to my left shoulder, if I turn around, they're going from my left shoulder to my right shoulder. Now they just changed directions, or did I just turn around? So clockwise, all what I tell people, the sun, moon, and stars, all the lights in the sky, rise in the east, set in the west, no matter where you are on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You want to call it clockwise? You want to call it counterclockwise? Turn around. Do a headstand. Now, which way is it going? It's still going in the same direction, but your clock direction changes.
Mm-hmm. Your perspective, right?
Crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You want to talk more flat Earth stuff, or you want to talk about chemtrails? Because
Let's go back to chemtrails.
Okay, cool.
You mean the contrails, the persistent contrails that come out of airliners? Go ahead.
So a lot of people want to know the like who, what, why, where, when, how on all these things. And if you can't give it to them, then they're like, you're a conspiracy theorist. You don't know all the answers. So when you bring up flat Earth, they want you to know all the answers, or they throw you in this basket of crazies, and then they go not believing it anymore, right? Because what's happened is someone got to them first. NASA got to them first. They built these mental pathways that are fabrications. They're lies, they're lies built on nothing. They're just telling you this is what you see and this is why you see it, right? If someone else got to you first and said this is what you see and this is why you see it, then that mental pathway would have gotten there first, and then you'd be debating that person instead of NASA. You know what I mean? So with the lines in the sky, some like science or whoever got to people first and was like, no, they're blasting hot air out of their engines. And that's okay. So there we got to start with that one. So this will be great for the show. So all these conspiracies or these truths, they all interconnected. So we're going to go right back to 9/11 with this one. 9/11, planes hit buildings. Oh, wait, did they? Maybe it was holograms. Hold on. So supposedly planes hit buildings in 9/11 and hit the Pentagon, and these 2-ton titanium and steel engines smack into the side of the Pentagon on these planes, and they didn't even break the windows. Right? They just disappeared into the building.
Wings folded back into the fuselage, and then the airplane went into a hole smaller than the fuselage because it got crunched, and then they vaporized.
Right. Exactly. So the 2-ton titanium and steel high bypass turbofan jet engines, they folded into the plane, went in the hole, and vaporized. So let's analyze these engines that are magical on only that day and time and place. They are made of titanium and steel, and they're these huge turbo fans. They're making like a vortex, and they're pulling air through these fans, almost like propellers. They're basically like advanced propellers. They're making wind get pushed over the wing to create lift. Turbines spinning. It's not what you've like been perceived to when you've been like introduced to this topic of like a jet engine. A jet engine's on the back of a plane. It's blasting like kerosene. Basically, it's burning combusting jet fuel, and it's creating this push. It's pushing the plane. The ones on the wings are different. The ones on these passenger jets are different. They're called high bypass turbofan jet engines. They're big fans. Okay, when you go through like a flock of seagulls, you're not cooking these things. You're chomping them up. You don't want them to mess the fan blades, but it's a big fan. It's internalized and it's efficient. And it's probably spinning because of an air compressor that's been, patented and is making this thing spin. But there's not this hot combustion, hot air blasting out of this engine like you're envisioning to create this condensation trail, to create this heat. And then it's like, if the humidity is right and it's cold enough, then it creates this condensation trail like the hot air coming out of your mouth on a cold day. That's the fallacy. There's no hot air. Period. There's a fan blowing wind over a wing, creating lift. So when you do see the planes flying over and nothing's going on, there's no line whatsoever, short, long, medium, nothing. That's normalcy. That's normality. That's logical. Normal. That's just like what's a passenger plane does, right? Anytime you see anything else, short, medium, long trail, there's some manipulation going on. Right. And that's hard for people to fathom. It's hard for people to fathom that when they see that little dot going across the sky, that's got to be a satellite, right? That's what I've been told. I've been told that that's a satellite. It must be a satellite. It has to be a satellite because someone got to me first. They told me that's a satellite, and I see it in the sky. My grandma, they say, hey, look at the satellite go by. First of all, how far away is that thing? Secondly, was it got a spotlight on it? Third, like, how come we never see them going in front of the moon and all these little things? Like maybe what we've been told is not fact based on the facts. Find me a picture of a satellite on the internet. If you were spending millions of dollars to launch a satellite in space, wouldn't you zoom in on it and take a freaking Polaroid, send it back to your investors and be like, look, we did it, guys. Give me another $20 million.
Matt, and if you
I'm
look
on two topics, right?
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm just going to comment on this one, and then you can circle back if you like. In sports, in high school sports, college sports, professional sports, they have cameras everywhere. Cameras floating above, cameramen, cameras on the side, mounted cameras, because they know stuff is going to happen. NASA, no cameras. Why don't they have a camera over there looking at Earth? One over here looking at Earth. One on the moon looking at Earth, because It's always facing Earth. You don't have to worry about it. Just point it towards Earth, and start streaming. Right? No, we can't get any of that. The so so again, yeah, your camera comment is dead on.
I was thinking, remember all this talk of like, oh, the Van Allen belt, we can't get past the Van Allen belt and all that's like science. And then like we did, we landed on the moon, right? I think this talk of Van Allen radiation belt was disclosure, revelations of the method, disclosure, whatever you want to call it. They're really talking about the firmament. You know what I mean?
100%.
And no one's getting past that firmament, and everything else after that's lies. But they couldn't tell us the true truth. So they had to be like, oh yeah, there's space, there's radiation out there, and we can't really get through it. And then when we do, and people aren't scratching their heads, it's like, well, you didn't scratch your head because we gotcha, but we let you think for yourself. So you got free will, right?
Right.
So, anyways, back to the contrails and the free will and whatnot. There's no hot air blasting out of those engines. These are very efficient. Rolls-Royce, it went from General Electric in the 60s back to Rolls-Royce, and they flip-flopped, and now it's Rolls-Royce. They maintain these things. You buy these engines and they maintain them. They keep them going for life. It's a closed loop system, Rolls-Royce company. They're 2 tons of titanium steel, and they're just pushing the ambient air over the wing, creating lift. Okay. So the whole concept in your head, and all of us, each and every one of us, even if we think and know that holograms hit the buildings in New York, we still think that those planes are full of hot jet fuel because they took down those buildings. The jet fuel was so hot.
Right.
It took down those buildings, right? They're full of jet fuel, right?
Right.
Right.
What do you say to people when you show them and the trail goes on and off a couple times, right? But the people say, oh, well, it's a hot patch and a cold patch they're going through.
Mhm.
I mean, do you hear any other? I mean, people just make up any excuse for this.
Well, textbook cognitive dissonance because, firstly, when I first started trying to wrap my head around this, okay, because I'd never heard about this. I grew up in the East Coast in Virginia. I moved and worked on a farm in Northern California. I had to witness weather modification, drought causation. I had to witness it firsthand. All these planes show up and grid the sky on the edge of this storm, and the storm doesn't drop any rain. And we were begging for this storm. We hadn't gotten rain for 4 years. Okay, we're on this farm, and I still had to be like, wait, what? Was it J. I think it was J. Edgar Hoover when the common folk are introduced to a conspiracy so vast and so large that's beyond comprehension, they'll just shove it into the category of disbelief. Because it's like, if you think about it, on these heavy spray days, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to blast the whole West Coast or whatever. It's like, it's beyond our, like, it's like, how could they fool the entire world that we're on a spinning ball and have everyone laughing at the concept that it could not be true, and everyone's got this globe, and even like the peace sign. The peace sign's upside down, bro. You know about this? The peace sign is upside down. People wear these peace signs. It means war. The peace sign is supposed to be flipped, and that means peace. It's inverted. It means the opposite of what they wear. People have been so duped that they wear the opposite. They identify with the opposite of what they represent, and they don't even realize they're a living, walking hypocrisy. So regarding all of it, every last one of these different truths, we've gotten so twisted and upside down and backwards that we think, oh no, the government, the science tells me that there's patches of barometric pressure in the atmosphere, and therefore it must look like this. They will zigzag the sky with checkerboards and then flip the switch and turn it into a zigzagged lines of like frequency looking, and most people will, instead of thinking for themselves, they'll look up on Google what kind of cloud it is and then recite it and at the end of the day, why? Okay, so here's the deal. There's a who, what, why, where, when, how, all these things before you can really become an activist and speak up for it, because you don't want to not know the answers. When someone comes to you and they're like, okay, smart guy, if the earth is XYZ, then how come blah, 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 blah. And if you don't know the answer, if you're not like Mitchelson Morley, rattle them off to them, if you don't have the answers, then they'll go back to being in disbelief, right? So the issues become so convoluted and complicated, and the counter narrative is so heavily controlled. you can find anything on the internet to explain that counter narrative of why the trails go on and off. You know, oh, it was a fuel dump, or oh, they had to do this, or oh, the this or that, or oh, the engines have to take breaks or whatever. Anybody that they read something, they'll believe that over the boogeyman is out to get them any day, because they think that basically people are good. They have good hearts, they have good souls, and they want to believe in the good of everything, everyone around them, and
all
everything.
the
And they
time.
don't want to. Yeah,
I said,
that's really what it is.
check this out. This is one thing the anti flat earthers have in common. They all agree, the Earth is a globe. We're spinning. All the nonsense about that. The lines in the sky are just from hot air coming out of engines, and that everybody needs to get this. I mean, they're all on the same page with all of those things. So if you understand that even just one of them, I think everyone listening on my channel know that they're all nonsense. It should disqualify the rest. It should. But they got their playbook, right? This is good. Those are good. And the earth is a ball. Okay. All of those things are to enslave humanity.
All of it is, even GMO foods, and believing that the world is heating up and we need to do something about it, and all that sort of stuff. I'm giving a presentation virtually in London in a couple of weeks on this net zero. They want everyone to be carbon neutral. Okay, for one, the system was created to be using carbon all day long. I mean, I bought a banana this morning. Heaven forbid. The system created that. The banana came on a plane, came on a truck, got farmed, all those things. The system put the banana in my lap. But now I'm guilty for the heating of the planet because I ate the banana, right? I exhale carbon all day long, right? But the little man, who is just a little cog in the wheel of the system, not the system's not at fault. The oligarchs controlling the system, they're not at fault. It's the little man. So yeah, there's a lot of different means by which we're controlled. But for everyone listening that wants to get entrenched in fear or not understand the why or anything, at least take this away. We're lied to on all these levels. We're lied to because of the fluoride, the food, the air we breathe, even where we are at as a species. Like, we're in some sort of realm. We're not, like, everything NASA has done has been complete lies. Why? It's because it's because the powers that be are scared to death of us. They are so afraid of us. If we all came together on a common thread,
Yep.
which would be truth, right? That's where our bond is all, able to vibrate together. Their world would crumble in an instant. Like, our potential for evolution as a species and all that sort of stuff, all these things, they're completely shook. And so they have to pull out all the stops. And at the end of the day, it should be very flattering, honestly, is that where I'm getting it. I know it's scary and dooming and daunting and all this stuff, but really you should look in the mirror and be like, wow, they really pull out all the stops, from my lotion to my tap water, to my detergent, to my deodorant, to the air that I breathe. I'm under attack, but why? It shouldn't be this. You shouldn't take on any sort of victimhood, because that's for the people out there wearing two masks still.
What do you think?
They can be the victims.
What do you think of this? That I think it's called the Maharaji effect, where people meditate together or pray together and it changes the world. I think that if they let the population grow, that we will have a collective consciousness, and they won't be able to control us anymore. If we have more people, they're telling us, 8 billion people is too many for the world. I think there was 100 billion people here before the last reset, maybe even more. Because if you look at the world's fairs and everything, and all of the stuff, I think there was a lot more people here, but they're controlling us every way. They're poisoning us, in everything from the air to the food to the stuff that goes inside of us. And they're also scaring people into not having kids financially, right? If you have a kid, the number one thing on your mind is, I got to send this kid to college. Maybe I'm only going to have one kid. Maybe I'll have 2 kids. Maybe I'll have no kids, right? I had 2. I had a boy and a girl. I'm blessed. And I was like, you know what? That's enough. I got it. I'm lucky. And maybe I would have had more kids if I didn't have to worry about college. College, biggest scam ever. Okay. And then if you have kids and you're completely broke and you didn't save a penny for college, they will make sure your kid goes to college and puts that kid in debt for the rest of his life. They will make sure. Okay. So the whole financial college indoctrination is a scam. They want you to go to college, but they want you more so not to have kids. I think the whole college scam is the number one reason for less population. That's just me.
No, it's a total joke. I went to college. I got a master's degree in business, and I have nothing but student loans, and it's very predatory. And the system is built to put people in debts that they'll never be able to pay back. Right? If you look at the breakdown of the word mortgage, it means death grip.
Right.
Like, I mean, just think about all of it. Um, the whole system is designed to set us up for failure and not want us to reproduce, because if the people that were evolving and honoring the truth started having the kids and raising the vibration around here, the phrase rising tide lifts all ships. The higher the vibration of the people, it's contagious. It brings everyone else up around them. So anyways, back to chemtrails really quick while we're on the topic.
Yeah.
So people don't know that there's patents that go back decades, showing the trail of breadcrumbs of how they got to where they're at. So that's one thing. People don't realize that the rainwater analysis, they match the patents. So you've got patents saying we're going to use aluminum, barium, and strontium. We're going to mix them together. It's going to look like this, and we're going to manipulate the weather like this. Then you see. So people have had to actually take science into their own hands. And what's that? Observation, repeated observation, and testing the theories and all that sort of stuff, right? Because we're getting bamboozled and duped and lied to and targeted and poisoned and all those sort of things, the activists, the people, we've had to literally take science into our own hands. And so come the early 90s, people started seeing these grid patterns that never existed, having seen health conditions that they didn't have before. They started getting their hair and their blood tested, and they're showing these spikes in aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, and these things that are patented in the geoengineering weather modification patents, right? So they started doing these correlations and analyses. And then when there were crazy spray days and not crazy spray days, they test the rainwaters, the clean rainwater coming out of the non-spray days, what comes up must come down. And on the crazy spray days, they're showing like literally fingerprint matches to these patents of these mixes aluminum and strontium to modify the weather. So we know what's going on by putting the pieces together. And then we learn how to empower ourselves through mineralization and detoxification and chelation. I've been learning about mineralizing, especially. I take sea moss, bladderwrack, burdock, and it's 120 bioavailable minerals. And I get the bioavailable minerals in my body. So then my body's not mineral deficient, because when I'm mineral deficient, I'm absorbing toxins from my toxic environment, right? So you can absorb your toxic environment, or you can be living so healthy that you don't have to absorb all the toxins from your environment because you're up to speed on your minerals. So it's things that you can do to not be a victim and to not just, fall into a low vibration, because it is shitty to go outside and see the grid pattern in the sky and nobody even believes you, especially when they're, double masking and telling you shouldn't even be breathing the fresh air when the air's not even fresh. So when it comes to chemtrails and flat earth and other topics, it's important to get grounded, meet your people where they're at. Maybe some people just need to be handed a Frankenstein's DVD. Maybe some people you can lead a horse to water. Maybe you don't need to jump down their throat all day long about certain topics. Maybe you just need to say, hey, I've offered, I don't know if you've seen this. I've offered on my Facebook $1,000 cash for an actual photo of Earth from space. And people chime in and they get all upset and grumpy. And I'm like, I've got the cash right here. I'm ready. And thousands of comments. And people end up twisting my words and sending me a picture of like their yard and like, this is the Earth. This is Earth. And I said, from space, you bozo. And no one can do it.
On the moon. What about the one that they say was taken when going around the moon? It's such a little blob of color. It's so stupid, but
that's fabricated, and that's half of the Earth. And how could half of the Earth be from that perspective? That doesn't make sense. You're talking about that one of the half the Earth rising?
Yeah, the Earth rise, right.
So how does that make sense from the face of the moon? You'd be looking at the full Earth. You wouldn't look at half of it from the.
Well, no, it depends on where the sun. It could be, in theory, it could be that half, but we took it. Rob Skiba took it off of their website, off of NASA's website, put it in Photoshop live on a show, cranked up the levels, and you can see a box around it. You can see a box that it was literally that it was put in there.
But if you're on the hot face of the moon looking at Earth, how could it not be the full? Oh, because no. How wouldn't it just be the full? Why wouldn't you?
Let's say the sun was above you, so it's 12 noon moon time. When you look at the Earth, it would be 12 noon. The top half of the Earth would be lit. The bottom half would not be lit.
but your perspective, if you're on the shiny side, you're looking straight at the. Oh, I see what you're saying. I guess I see what
So,
you're
so
saying.
here's the thought.
I know they've done a really good job of making it
It's
work.
hard. Like people can't spatially think these things out, but
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
do
yeah,
it, like that thing I was doing with the ball there, it's confusing. But look at it; it changes directions when you rotate it over,
yeah. Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's what's really tricky is if I could rewind back 150 years or whatever and be the Galileo, the Copernicus, and be coming up with the first ideas, then everyone would just be disproving my hogwash bullocks nonsense. You know
right.
what I mean? Instead, we're trying to disprove their, and they probably interacting with ancient aliens. This is very smart. This little scheme they came up with is very, very, very smart. Check this out. I've talked to someone who's very, very religious.
Check it out real quick. This is the shot
Mhm.
that Rob put into
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
the Photoshop, and he cranked up the levels, and you'll see they didn't expect us to have Photoshop. And then since he did this, this box is around it. That's not
Mhm.
natural. And then since he did this, I believe they took it off, redid it, and then put it back up. So it no longer does this.
Hmm. Fascinating.
There you go. Sorry.
Hmm. No, it's okay. What was I talking about? Um,
Sorry if I distracted you.
no, it's okay. There's so much. Well, so yeah, I was on something with the moon. Oh, okay. Well, firstly, we'll just do a little talk about the everything. Firstly, we never went to the moon. It's very obvious, and people have nostalgia of it, and they'll defend it to the to the end of their life because they were there and they witnessed it.
Yeah.
It's very clear we never went. Oh, I know what. The players that be are so intelligent that they know how our minds work and how we would react. So I have a friend, works at the coffee shop that I go to. He is very, very religious, goes to church every week. He's very, very religious. He says, obviously, the earth is flat because of the Bible, but that can't be true. We must be on a ball. Just look at the moon. I've heard so many people say, we must be on a ball. Just look at the moon. It's a circle. Therefore, we must be a circle and everything else must be a circle. It's like this notion was implanted that because that's a circle, we're a circle and we're all circles. And then that just makes perfect sense, you know? So either the moon was placed there for us to get that fabrication in our head, or the players that be were just like, oh no, that'll be the perfect way to get them thinking that we're on the ball. And I guess ball BAAHL or whatever is like,
Matt, have you seen this? So I got
talk
four
to me.
moons here.
Mm-hmm.
And which is this one a sphere? Well, it kind of looks like a sphere. It's a half a sphere. How about this one? Is this one a sphere? Take a guess.
Right.
Which one? Is it?
Oh, no.
It's flat. So unless you can touch it,
Wow.
right? And is this one a sphere?
Oh, this is great. Yeah, it's all about perspective.
Is
Yeah, I
this
love
one a
this.
sphere? That's a
You
cup.
queued that up pretty quick. No,
A
it's
cup.
not. Oh, wow.
Right. This one's a sphere. I'll give spoiler alert. Okay.
Eh.
But until that hand touched it, these things could have been the size of a yoga ball or even bigger, or its
Yeah.
size of a ping pong ball. You don't know size or distance or shape until you actually can touch things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that you can say to your friend.
Right. No, I love that.
And then
I love
wait,
that.
one more. Since we're on this, don't forget where you were. So I say, is this the sun or the moon rising or setting? And they're arguing over it's setting or rising, and it looks like a sphere. But when we fast forward it, we find out that it's a train and it doesn't even have round lights on it. It's got square light. Okay.
Right.
So everything looks like a sphere in the distance. Everything. And no astronomer ever in all of history has ever seen a star as anything but a point of light in the sky. There's nothing else. There's nothing else they can say about it.
That was really good. I like this one a lot. People send me a lot of hexagonal shaped sun things. There's a lot of talk of there's been a sun put in front of the sun, an
Yeah,
artificial
yeah.
sun from the
There's
sun, or some sort of tech.
I
There's
don't
a
know.
lot of things, going on. People send me a lot of stuff. I
Wait,
do know one thing. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I do know one thing. The counter narrative is so heavily controlled that we're left with our own discernment. I mean, if you can focus on cultivating your own discernment, go in your gut. This is a rock. I'm looking at a rock. Does my gut know I'm looking at a rock? Yes or no? Like, ask your gut. I'm holding a pencil. This is a pen. Yes or no? Can I get my gut to resonate, like to designate and resonate with this?
Right.
Right? Can I ask yes no questions to my gut and my heart and like cultivate my instincts and actually have these street smarts where when someone's got a knife across the street, I get a knot in my stomach, and there's an alligator in the pool, I get a knot in my stomach, and the politician's lying, I get a knot in my stomach. You know, if you can cultivate your own intuition and instincts, then you're winning. Because, like you said, look at the picture of the train. Anybody could show you that picture and tell you what to think and how to feel. And then they're one step ahead of you, right?
Let me give you this one. Which one of these tables is bigger?
What do you mean bigger? Like bigger?
Which one's wider?
Oh, wide, like width.
With which one has the best, has the longest width? I mean, you could say this one because it's kind of long this way, but this one's fatter, right?
Yeah, width is left to right, and based on the way these are sitting, then the one on the right. Yeah.
So in reality, they're the exact same size. There's no difference. Watch. I'm gonna put a little piece of paper down here, and that one covers that perfectly. And then we'll just put it over there. It's the same size. Now that I showed you the illusion, you still can't see it. Normally, when you're shown an illusion, you can snap out of it and go, "Oh, I see it now." You still can't see it, right?
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody says the moon is a sphere, I say, well, the lights on my ceiling are spheres. Is my floor a sphere? What difference does it make? And how do you know it's a sphere? And then you can show them, you know, those three things I just showed you. And then it's like, okay, that argument's gone.
Amazing. I've got a perspective story that I should share while we're doing all this.
Go
So when I was like young, I was into photography, and I wanted to be a photographer, and I got myself a 35 millimeter camera, nothing adjustable, 35 millimeter film lens. I grew up in Northern Virginia, and we started having these super moons. So I went to DC to film these super moons as they were coming up over the monuments, over the buildings. There's this huge, massive moon over the Lincoln Memorial. And I started asking myself, how come the moon is so huge when it is coming up over the horizon? And then 2 hours later, 4 hours later, it's way small. I looked it up on the internet, and they say the official story is it's an optical illusion. It's all in my head.
It is.
Right? It's all in my head. Is it really in my head?
Yes, it is. So this is one thing you could do. There's a couple things you could do. One, when you see that giant moon, hold your finger out, and go, okay, my thumb or my finger at arm's length, that blocks the whole moon, top to bottom, left to right, right? So my fingernail is blocking the moon, right? I'll look at it. Yep, that does it. And then wait, when it's tiny, do the same thing, and the same finger will block the same amount. Try this. And this sounds really weird and creepy.
Because I started opening my mind when this is how I started opening.
It's when things are on the horizon there, they look bigger. There's so many illusions. So when you see a giant moon and you take a picture of it, you look at the picture, go, it's tiny, right? The picture never works out. Turn around, spread your legs, bend over, it's not gay, and look at the moon upside down through your legs, and it will be small.
No, I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just kidding.
It'll be small, but check this out. So it breaks the illusion. Your mind rewires, and it sees it as a small moon, just like the picture does. But then if you do it enough times, it no longer works. All of a sudden, it's still big. It's the craziest.
Your brain gets
ever.
Used to it. Wow.
Yes.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. But last thing is, when you're looking up at the moon, you're looking through this much atmosphere. When you're looking across at the moon, you're looking through all atmosphere. Sometimes, if there's a lot of moisture in the air, it will magnify things that are closer to the horizon a little bit. Okay. So the moon will look different sizes at different times, but it's generally the same size. When you hold your hand out up, it's the same size. Crazy.
Yep. Interesting. Right. Very fascinating. No, it's interesting the way that the mind works and the way the perspective is, and the way that once we're told something, the way that we perceive it, and we can't even see things, certain way. Like I've got these black lines come out of the front of these chemtrail planes, and people can't fathom what it could be. And someone was trying to tell me about it the other day, and they didn't have the memory of the black line coming out of the nose of the chemtrail plane until someone else mentioned it. And they're like, oh yeah, I saw that yesterday too. They started telling me about this black line coming out of the nose of this like drone. I'm like, why didn't you tell me about it before? She goes, I didn't remember it. You didn't remember it? She goes, no, someone had to mention it because her mind compartmentalized it in a place that was not, she had no reference point. Right. The mind's a very tricky, amazing place.
I've seen that, but I didn't think it was coming out of the front. I thought the plane or whatever it was, the craft was following that line. I thought that line was there and it was following it. And then I'm like, is that a reflection of the actual trail onto the sky screen, the firmament, or whatever you want to call it? Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure it out.
I've seen various versions. I've seen black lines where they're going and they're following it. I've seen one where there's this micro machine, teeny looking drone thing. And it was actually, talk about perspective. It wasn't very high up in the sky. I mean, there's so much nonsense going on, and the manipulation. So we are the like co-creator, like God figures. We're like very more powerful than we could ever fathom. And the whole game here is getting this collective consciousness and warping it to make the reality that they want. So when I first got into chemtrails, people were like, oh, they're terraforming the earth so reptilians can come. I think they're terraforming consciousness so that they can create 100%. The vibration.
I totally agree.
Yeah, it's to create the frequency in which they
let me go on that woo land a little bit for you, and you'll probably be like, oh, duh, Dave, right? And people get upset when I talk about this. When you look at pre-spraying of the sky, you look at cumulus clouds, they had nice sharp edges, right? And you could watch them morph, and remember they turn into rabbits and all sorts of stuff. You look up it, and now we just like, what is that? It looks like, I don't know, lines of whatever. And so I always ask myself, why do the clouds stick together? How come it's clear air here and then a solid cloud right next to it? Like, how come it doesn't bleed? Like, what's holding it together? And water holds memory. You know that, a drop of water holds terabytes of information. What if that is a non-physical realm of consciousness right above our heads, the heavens right above our heads, and these clouds, for lack of a better word, are angelic in nature, okay? And then you watch on a beautiful cumulus cloud day, these morphing clouds that look like brains, right? That bring shade and water to where we need it. And for people to think that water gets delivered to where you need it by random accidents of cooling and heating, I think it's all intelligently designed. And then all of a sudden, the planes come in and start spraying. Those clouds turn into slurries, right? And I see a spiritual war happening right in front of us, where evil is literally destroying consciousness right in the sky above us. Like, I look at it and it brings tears to my eyes. I'll look at it and I'm just like, this is the saddest thing ever. And you could watch this war. You got clouds over there, and then you got slurry over here, and then the planes will keep on coming, and they'll all turn to slurry. And I think it's a war of consciousness, just like you said.
You're not the first one to say that. I've heard that a lot. I've even got a friend.
I am. They copied me. They copied me.
I've got a close friend. Every time I see her, she says there's a war in the sky ongoing right before our eyes.
Right there.
And it's true because before chemtrails, there was a divine intelligence to it all. And there was this balance of orgone energy, and Wilhelm Reich really studied it. And it was way deeper than we know. And now that the US Air Force or whatever is trying to get control of it, there's a war over that grip, and they have to fight it back and forth. And what do you think about sylphs? What are those? You gone down there?
Yeah. I think it's all part of this spiritual war above us. But, I was told that the Indians did rain dances as a kid and how ridiculous that was. And I laugh, all those stupid Indians. No, they were working with the consciousness of the heavens above to bring the water to where they needed. Water, literally, in my mind, is the physical representation of God here on earth. I mean, water is everywhere. Never in the Bible does it say water was created, right? Water was here, okay? God was here, okay? I say okay a lot. I'm trying to get rid of that, okay?
I do too.
So, water lifts us up. Water gives us life. There's no life without water. It's amazing what water does. So I think that all of this we're all interconnected, and they're literally trying to cut us off. The spraying of our skies is to disconnect us from that intelligence.
Oh wow, no, that I received that really well. Do you think that space is water? Oh,
I think
past the
so.
firmament?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. We
So
had
like,
a NASA whistleblower that was speaking with me for a couple of weeks, and then he disappeared. He said he was fleeing the country, and then never heard from him again. He said that about 72 miles up, it turns into a thicker plasma. Then above that, it becomes water, and then it becomes solid. And then
mm,
below, beyond that, I think he said, I forget. I have to go look at the email chain. Above that is the water, and that's why NASA's always talking about the Sea of Tranquility. The everything is ships and docking. It's all nautical terms. So
mm.
I think that that's what's up there. But again, we don't know. We
Ooh,
don't need that to determine that we're not on a spinning ball. That's a fact.
you know what's likely is it's water, and then above that water is another landmass, and above
Maybe
that landmass is more air, and then another gradient.
seven heavens, seven layers, seven
Yeah,
realms. Absolutely. And maybe below
and
us, maybe 7.8 miles below us, where we can't get below that impenetrable barrier, is the firmament of the land of the world below us.
possibly. I think that we can't go higher because we're in physicality, and our physical form is dictated by frequency,
Yes.
and we're in a frequency realm where we actually co-create it because we have our third eyes, and we collectively co-create consciousness, and that's like the play to enslave us, to have us create their reality and all that. But we, as like spiritual beings, as could probably go beyond the firmament,
I agree.
but in our physical bodies as we stand now, I don't think we can get beyond that, realm,
You know how you know how
that
you win
physical barrier.
a spiritual war? You convince your opponent that a spiritual war doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They have people, most people on earth don't believe in that. Oh, spiritual, what are you, new ager? And they just laugh at that stuff. This is physical. I want my material things. I want to work 9 to 5. If I'm lucky, I want to watch my team win on the weekend. Yay, I won. I've won. All right. And you're
Mm-hmm.
free because you're amazing because you won. And then you get to choose the left arm of the monster or the right arm of the monster. And you're still picking the same monster. So they want you in that. We're literally in the matrix. Okay. It's an analogy. We're giving them our energy. But what I found is, when I had exposing the big three, New York, Boston, and Connecticut, people would just go right back to sleep. But when you wake up to flat earth, you literally unplug from the matrix. You stop feeding the system. Some people more than others, but over time, you completely stop feeding the system and you take your power back. Matt, I bet. I mean, you've lost friends and family. We all have. I don't unfortunately talk to my brother and sister. We've never ever discussed flat Earth, right? Because they believe. The only truth conversation, just so side note, I had with my brother was about chemtrails, and Matt, he was like, you would have thrown your hands up, like, get out of here. He wouldn't believe any of it. And my sister, the thing in Connecticut, she lives in the town next door, so therefore it was 100% real. And that's it. We've never gone any farther than that. So you've had a rough go at it. It's not an easy path you're on, but you're happy that you're awake. You're happy that you're doing everything that you can do. We're living our life to its full potential. I would never trade this in for anything else. I would never take the blue pill and go back into the matrix. That would be horrifying if it was a possibility. And the point I was trying to make was, if I can remember it, is even, one thing we all have in common is we're never bored. Are you ever bored? Do you even know what being bored means? Right?
No, if I really got deep, I'd try to explore the astral, and I'd be sitting with a beeswax candle forever, and I'd get out of this space and really do the deep exploration. So there's so much to explore that's not even in this realm. So I don't
It's
think
so
boredom can be a
I,
thing.
I don't think boredom. I boredom, jealousy. These are words that I used to rule my life, and now they have no meaning. So
Yeah.
back
Amen to that.
back to you.
For your brother, I would say, well, does he know about cloud seeding in Vietnam? And does he know that there is cloud seeding? And then if he knows that cloud seeding exists, then how come it's not discussed when all these forest fires, wildfires, fires are taking out towns and stuff like that? No one ever says, what about cloud seeding? Cloud seeding used to be so common practice in the 70s that the farmers not only would seed the clouds and rain onto their crops, but they would test their soil. They would determine what the soil was deficient in. Like, oh, my soil needs more phosphorus. Then they would seed the clouds with phosphorus and have phosphorus come raining down. So they would specifically seed the clouds with the minerals they need and have that mineral raining down on them. That's how dialed in they were. That knowledge got swept under the rug, totally quieted. And now people are just looking at the sky and praying for cloud rain when they were literally able to make it rain decades ago. And now we're twiddling our thumbs, acting like it's all up to God. It's like, come on.
There's certain people in this world, that, they just don't want to see. They won't see because it hurts their ego. They have this world built around their belief, and that's where they want to live. And anything, they will divert. It's unfortunate. It's sad. I'm waiting for that day. I'd love that day for things to just really get uncovered and them to go, hey, you're right. I've been screaming about chemtrails, the contrails, persistent contrails, for over 2 decades. I mean, I don't know when you got into it. I mean, I might have been into it before you. I'm a little older than you, and you've done way more. I'm not trying to take credit or anything. But I've been screaming about it for years. And now that there's patents, they admit that they're doing it. They tell us on the news that they're doing it. I mean, it's all out there. Everyone's come to me and go, "Oh, Dave, you were right. You're amazing, Dave. I can't believe you knew this 20 years ago." Actually, nobody said that. I've dreamed that one day they might say that.
I was like, nice, you got those people.
Nobody said that. Maybe I have one good buddy I went to high school with. He now, every time there's like, I'll hear ping and I'll see Mark. Oh, he's sending me a picture of the sky. And so I woke up one person, not like
nice.
you. You woke up a lot of people.
Well, to chemtrails, and you've got your path, and bless you for that, because questioning these big questions, chemtrails is like a gate. Contrails, persistent contrails, it's a gateway drug, and people start to realize, well, if they lied about that, then the door's open for they could lie about anything. If people can grasp the lie that your show is about, and NASA, and the shape of the realm in which we live, and the Hubble Space Telescope, and all that nonsense, all that money we spend. I just looked it up recently. I think it's $80 billion, $80 million a day, $80 million a day now.
80 million
NASA
a day.
spends.
Right. Well, that's
$80 million.
I think NASA gets $10,000 a day, and they take the rest goes into black budgets. That's why NASA's so horrible at their fakery, because they're short. They're only getting 10,000 of that 80 million.
I was wondering. I was like, okay, why do they get all this money? Then what do they do? They came to hire a good Photoshop person. Like, what's going on?
And then the other thing you said, they're spraying the West Coast. It's going to cost, what did it say, $50 million a day or whatever it is. The people that are doing that don't need money. They just go boom, boom, boom. They create business. Everyone changes digits, and none of that money is accounted for. Everyone thinks that every dollar that's spent on the electronic payment system is accounted for. No, they need $50 million. Okay, we'll type in the system. Who's doing the accounting? Nobody's doing the accounting, right? So they don't need money. They need us to believe in money. Mm-hmm. They need us to agree. Like money, we need some sort of to exchange with. I love bartering. I love trading people. I make hot sauce, and I don't sell it. I did sell some at the conference because everyone's like, "Can you bring it? Can you bring it?" And it cost me a fortune to send it there, so I sold it. But I'd rather trade you for it. I'd rather give it to you, and then one day you'll owe me a favor, and you'll have to do it when I ask you. But
nice.
So, I'm blurring out. It'll come back. Go ahead. You talk.
Okay, so yeah, the chemtrails has been an interesting journey. And now that the UN has even announced that they're going to unilaterally be doing it, it's like they started doing it, they kept doing it, then they figured out a way to convince us that they need to do it. And then now they're telling us slowly that they're gonna be doing it. Soon they're gonna say that they are doing it. Believe me, it'll be more in the sky, but they've been doing it the whole time. And we're still scratching our heads thinking like, are they, what they're admitting that they're doing it? And now, and what, and who do we answer to?
They've heard it so many times. They're like, oh, whatever. It's for the good. It's for the good. Don't you want to save the world? Don't eat that banana. Don't eat that banana.
Exactly, right? So and coffee, it came from far away. So it's your fault that the sea levels are rising. And that's a big easy one. Sea levels are rising. No, they're not. They're not. They're
I've
just
lived in the
not.
same town my entire life. I'm on the water all the time. I'm a windsurfer, kite surfer, boater, and same beach all my life. Every rock is in the same place at the same level that it's always been. Yes, there's higher tides and lower tides, but that happens everywhere all the time. There is zero rising of the water.
Yeah, and that's a fact. But still, you can try to hammer that home with people, and they'll say, "Well, you're not a Scientologist, climatologist." It's like, look, the same things. Like, look at the New York. Look at the what do you want to look at? What anywhere on the water, anywhere, Venice, you name it. There's even this documentary about sand wars because they say some islands are like going under. No, their sand is getting stolen. Their sand is getting stolen for Dubai and whatnot, and they're saying, "Oh no, global warming, we're underwater." No, you're not. So the whole fallacy, this whole like lie, it's a house of lies. The foundation is lies. Problem, reaction, solution all the way is how we're getting to where we're at, because we're dealing with now social credit systems, 15-minute cities. We're gonna have digital currencies and all these things, and they're all built on lies on top of lies on top of lies on top of lies. And the only way out of it is for you to check yourself and to know what's real. And you don't have to type it into Google or Wikipedia or ask your neighbor. You need to go within yourself and ask your heart and look at your sky. And you know what you need to do is witness a heat wave being created firsthand right in front of your eyes. Look at your weather. Oh, it's going to go up 20 degrees tomorrow, and it looks like it's abnormal because it's 50 all week, but tomorrow it's going to be 70. Go watch your sky. They're going to spray it. They're going to zap it. It's going to be rippled out. They're microwaving your sky to near the temperature of the sun to create this heat wave. Witness the heat wave. Then go watch the front page of your newspaper the next day, say global warming. Oh, it's so bad. We might have to do something or whatever, or carbon neutrality or
Easy
whatever.
on those words. I just want this to stay on YouTube. It's
Anyways,
unbelievable that we have to stifle ourselves like this, but I want this to stay on YouTube.
so there's all these things that I say that are things and stuff and things. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
No, but really, it's up to us to know what's real and what's not, and then to pick our battles and to one person at a time, be like, Johnny coworker, this is not real. Let's sit down and have a drink and really go there. And then you plant these seeds of doubt and these seeds of truth. And then, oh my gosh, did you know I saw an antenna on the moon once? I was in a hot tub, okay, at this hot springs about 6 years ago. It was a full moon, and I'm there with a girl friend, and they're about 1/3 the size of the moon. There was a huge antenna on it, and it was like a bunny ears on the moon. And I said to the girl next to me, "You see that?" She goes, "Oh my god," because we were both really talked about stuff like that. There's about 10 people in the hot tub. You guys see that?
The Terminator line where the moon was from light to dark. You saw it right there.
The moon was full, and right in the middle was a freaking structure looked like bunny ears. It's crazy, crazy. And there's no cloud cover, nothing.
I'd have to see it.
I know, right? No, I know. And I literally, I can't believe it. I the next day I went on the internet and I was like typing in. I was like, people must have seen this. No reports. Everyone in the hot tub, I go, you guys see this? Everyone looked. They saw it, bro. They effing saw it. And they all were just like deer in the headlights, man. Like you could see their life flash before their eyes. You could see that literally it was like this. My entire freaking belief system would be compromised if I had this conversation with you right here, right now. So they just turned away, and I was like, you guys, everybody. And they just turned away. And I'm like, it's right in there. Everybody. Nothing. It was there could have been a ball of fire in the sky. It's literally like Alf from the show Alf, he eats cats and stuff. He could have came and sat in the hot tub next to us. And it's because their belief system is so built around these lies that if the house of cards was to fall, their entire reality would fall, and they would literally be seeing lines in the matrix right in front of them. They can't handle that. You know what I mean? My story, I know I'm all over the place, but that is something that happened in my world. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
Sounds great. And again, it's a belief on my side because I believe what you're saying. I believe that you saw it. I have no idea what it was. So that's where we go. There's nothing really you can do with it. Next time, bring your P1000, man, and photograph that shit.
Right, exactly. I love that exists.
Now,
And
what
then
state are you in?
I'm in Oregon. I'm in Southern Oregon, Ashland, Oregon.
You're in Oregon. Is the eclipse going over Oregon in April? There's
No,
a big there. It's not going over Oregon. Okay.
no, we got the beginning of the last one, but the other one starts in Texas and does the other way. It's a big cross. Or
Yeah, I'm
no.
gonna actually go up to near Niagara Falls and catch it in April. So we're making plans for that.
Oh,
Pretty good.
cool. That'll be fun.
I don't know, do some tests, do some stuff. One thing we won't do is see the moon, that's for sure, because I don't believe the moon has anything to do with it.
No,
So
certainly not.
anything else you want to touch on? I think we've gone a little bit over an hour.
Are you going to Anarchapulco? That storm was obviously engineered.
Let's talk about
Category
that. Wait,
5.
hold
Yeah.
on. It's easy on the we know what happened. Just easy what you're saying. I want to talk about it. It started out as a small tropical storm. They said it could intensify, and within a couple of hours, it went to a category 5. But did you hear there was no rain?
Yeah, no rain happened overnight, no
So
warning.
that a category 5 no rain is a 20-mile wide tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Over water.
Over water. Well, then it hit Acapulco. And you know the first point of land that the eye wall touched? Right where Max Egan's house is.
Mm.
Is that a coincidence?
Wild. That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's for those of you that are watching this and didn't know about it, look into it. Jeff Berwick has he's actually doing real relief there, and I think it's called, what's the name of the hurricane? Otis. Hurricane Otis relief.com, relief.com or relieffund.com. Check it out. Just check out Dollar Vigilante. You can throw crypto his way. You can throw $5, $50, $500, whatever you want. There's people there with no food, no water, no electricity, and no assistance other than the stuff that these guys are bringing in. So anybody wants to do that. What is your take on it?
Oh, I'm making a film called Frankenstein's 2 Climate Chains, like shackles. And this seems to be a situation of weather modification gone wrong, gone right. So right before Hurricane Katrina, there was this thing called the HAMP was introduced through the U.S. Naval Research Program. HAMP is the Hurricane Atmospheric Modification Program. HAMP was designed to alter hurricanes and see if they could quell them. They introduced carbon soot with drones to the outer eye wall of Hurricane Katrina. Surprise, surprise, it made it into a very stronger storm. And then I think they had the technology already. This is just speculation from research, and who knows if this is actually true, that the U.S. industrial military complex is modifying hurricanes and making them stronger, not weaker. But it seems to be that the technology has been created to intensify and exacerbate and steer even storms, and they could wipe them out with frequency and keep them from rapid intensification. So this is a new word. So a couple of years ago, it was like hurricane asthma. Did you catch all the hurricane asthma stuff? It was hitting Australia and people were like dropping dead. Did you see that stuff? Sorry, it's not funny. Did you see that stuff?
I did not. I missed that one.
Hurricane asthma was a new word a few years ago, and it was like literally hitting like the streets of Sydney. And they said it was like these thunderstorms were picking up the rye pollen, and the rye pollen was so focused that when it hit the streets, people were dropping dead. And there was like 911 calls, like a bomb went off, and like animals and dogs were just dropping dead, and humans were dropping dead too. And some of them were recovering, but a lot of people were just dying on the streets. It seemed to be, based on my research and speculation and educated guesses, that it was actually barium from weather modification programs gone wild. But a new word surfaced called thunderstorm asthma. And it didn't really exist before. And neither did this rapid intensification. Rapid intensification is this new word of a storm going from like category 2, 3, whatever, to 5 overnight, and turning into this crazy thing in the matter of minutes or hours when people don't even have any heads up or warning. Usually it's like, oh, this thing's approaching, we're going to evacuate. Who's going to evacuate? Oh, I'm going to bunker down. I'm not going to evacuate. Oh, John's evacuating. We'll see. This thing just happened overnight, and it's very odd and abnormal. The news agencies are saying that it's because of the hot waters. Because
it was a degree and a half warmer than usual.
It's because Matt had too many bananas this year, is
I
what
think,
happened.
Matt, stop it with the bananas. That's what's doing it.
No, for real. I've been eating a lot of bananas because there's probiotics and bananas have prebiotics, and the prebiotics and the bananas are really healthy to create the probiotics. And I try to eat a banana every morning, and they come on a ship and they have a really heavy carbon footprint because I've had so many bananas this year. The temperatures out front of Acapulco, the beach town, it got heated up a little too much, so they had rapid intensification. Otis took out Max's
Max,
house. I'm sorry, Max. Yeah, I'll stop eating bananas.
I just bought some bananas today, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna
Shame.
bad Dave?
Anyways, worth looking into, and let's not forget about Maui and all these other tragic things that should also always stay on our radars. A lot of things happening all at once, and it's important to focus on the truth and just feel in on what resonates there. A lot of speculation in the Maui situation, but it seems like surging smart meters and engineered winds and arsons on the ground and all this stuff created a perfect storm for a smart city to be rebuilt and what have you. But we'll see what happens as it all develops.
Yeah, and just remember, not everybody is meant to wake up. There are people that there's nothing you can do for them, and you have to kind of identify them and then take your energy elsewhere. Let them have their space and go to somebody else because there's plenty of people now, more and more, that are right on the edge, just waiting for that one seed of truth that's going to wake them up. So you can wake people up every single day, and if you're not doing that, I don't know, maybe you're part of the problem. So just remember, the people that are going to fight you, let them be. Plant the seed, walk away. But there's plenty that are looking for information, looking for someone to speak intelligently. If you trying to wake someone up to the spraying of the skies, Frankenskies is the best. Nobody can sit. It's scientifically impossible to sit through Frankenskies and not realize geoengineering is a thing. It's impossible. Would you agree?
Yes, it's actually scientifically impossible. I asked Bill Gates and he said yes as well.
Yeah, that's good. He's your buddy.
Yep, best friends.
Phenomenal. All right, Matt, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Great talking to you finally. And
Thank you. Yeah.
but you have a big following on Facebook, and I was looking for that photo that I told the story at the beginning that I was typing away, and I was like, oh, it's Matt. You post too many things. I couldn't find it.
I post a lot.
A prolific poster on Facebook and all good stuff. But you had one. It was there was a couple that were really good. Oh, realize, real skies. I like that little twist.
Yeah, thanks.
Like
I
it?
like that. Maybe I get some t-shirts made.
And there was another one too, but I forget what it was right now. It'll come to me.
Yeah, follow me on Facebook, Matt Landman. I try to be creative and work my way with and obey the best I can and befriend and cuddle the algorithms. But you never know what you're gonna get in the world at large. And if it's gonna suck up your energy, you're right. Don't you gotta pick your battles. But there are people out there that are willing to listen that you can plant those seeds with. So play your part, everyone. Thank you.
Yep. All right, man. Thanks. See ya.
Thanks, Dave. Look forward to seeing you in person sometime.
All right, man. Thanks.